G'day everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. So we are now nearing the end of the 2022 year, and because of this I thought why not let's go over the best AFL moments for every single team from the 2022 AFL season, just to celebrate the year we had. Now, instead of just going over the best moment for every AFL club, which are quite obvious, you can pick them out, I've decided to go for the top 3 moments for each club to add a bit more variety into today's video. If you're going to enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, that'll be much appreciated. Nearing 12k subscribers, so make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get into today's video. Kicking it off with the Adelaide Crows, and for their top 3 moments, for third place, I have their upset against the Bulldogs back in round 6 in Ballarat, getting that 1-point win. That was a spectacular game, and it was a huge upset where the Bulldogs were sort of on the slide. You had, I think, Taylor Walker kick the sealer, Rory Laird and Ben Keays were dominant in that game too. For the second best moment, I have their shock dismantling against the Blues in round 20, a game where Carlton just needed to win, get it ticked over, thought they'd just waltz in and get the easy win, but yeah, the Crows really came to play in that game. It was really even in the first half, but they just absolutely soared past the Blues in the second half. Brodie Smith was awesome on the half-back line. Ben Keays was awesome up forward with 3 goals. And of course, their best moment of 2022 was their goal after the siren win versus Port Adelaide. The game that had everything back in round 3 for the showdown. Game that was in the balance, sort of back and forth, but then they snatched it late after a free kick. In the back, I'm pretty sure it was a high tackle, and Geordie Dawson slotting it home for the Crows, and that is their best moment of 2022. Moving on now to the Brisbane Lions, and for their top 3 moments in third place, I have 𝐼𝐴𝐿𝐼𝐿𝐼𝐿𝐼𝐿 elimination final performance. This is probably maybe a bit of an unusual one, but just I had to point out his individual performance in that elimination final, because not only did they get the win, not only was it a great game, I just felt his performance alone was just one of the best finals individual performance I've seen in quite a while. He had 39 disposals, 21 contested, 15 clearances, 9 score involvements, and 6 inside 50s. He was just absolutely everywhere. I think for the whole second half, he had 100% time of ground. He was a key player in that crucial win for the Lions. Then on a similar note, in second place, I have Joey Daniher's winner against the Tigers in elimination final. You could probably put this one as the Lions' best moment, but I felt like I have a better one in first place. But yeah, this was a crazy game, crazy moment, of course. How it wasn't spoiled or marked or punched away from Bolter and 𝐼𝐴𝐿𝐼𝐿𝐼𝐿 fell straight down to Daniher, and he kicked the winner in what was a great game. And for their best moment in 2022 for the Lions, it was their semi-final upset against Melbourne, breaking the MCG hoodoo, a game that not many people expected them to win because of the last 2 appearances they did face. They got absolutely pummeled by 60 points plus, and they came in and played some great footy in that second half. Jared Berry, Lachie Neale really did stand up. Eric Hipwood too. That is their best moment of 2022. Moving to Carlton's top 3 moments of 2022, in third place, I've gone with their win over the Sydney Swans in round 10. There was a lot of season-defining moments for the Blues, but I just felt this game here was the real season-defining point of 2022 for them, because they had a few nice wins in a row against some, teams they expected to beat, but they wanted to get that win against a quality top 8 side, and they sure did get it against Sydney, and they did in style, to be fair. That second quarter they did have against the Swans was the best quarter probably out of their whole season. Just the forward pressure they had, the conversions they did, the efficiency they had with their role plays, everyone was playing on the same wavelength, and it was a terrific win. Second place, I've gone with their round 1 win over the Tigers, finally getting that win over Richmond in round 1, the first time since 2012, and you knew that something good was brewing for the Blues, getting that win, and they did it in style. And of course, Sam Docherty's return game, you can put that in there too. And for their best moment of 2022, I had to be Paddy Cripps winning the Brownlow for this year. Terrific year he did have. Of course, a bit of controversy with, did he, a bit of a poor bump on 𝐼𝐴𝐿𝐼𝐿𝐼𝐿, but he got cleared by that, and yeah, fair and square, took Charlie home. For Collingwood's top 3 moments, and I'm sport for choice here because their season was just filled with highlights and terrific moments, but here's my top 3. Third place, I've gone with Jack Ginnivan's 5-goal Anzac Day, Anzac medal performance, whatever you want to call it. This was just the game that, the nation really knew, hey, we've got an absolute champion of a goal sneak here. Love him, I hate him. He's just terrific at his craft and his forward, manoeuvring and his goal sneak ability, and he was just awesome on this day. Clear-cut best on ground player. Second place, I've gone with Jamie Elliott's goal winner after the siren versus Essendon in round 19. One of the games of the season. season, how they were just able to go end to end, and it fell in no better hands of Jamie Elliott to coolly slot it from the pocket. And you just knew he was going to kick it. And following along the Jamie Elliott lines, the best moment for the Pies of 2022 was his winner against Carlton, or you could probably just put the game as a whole. I've just gone for the winner though, because just the emotions. It was some sort of a game. I had to switch over from the Swans and St Kilda game and watch the end of it. It was easily the game of the year and a terrific moment for the Pies. Moving on now to the Bombers and their top 3 moments of 2022. In third place, I have gone with Michael Hurley's goal. This was obviously one of the feel-good moments of 2022, no matter who you do go for. Of course, Michael Hurley, just been a terrific clubman for the Bombers over the past decade or so. Had a lot of troubles with injuries, hasn't been able to play for around 2 or 3 years now. Finally, was able to come back in the last game of the season and announced his retirement there and then, and kicked that junk time goal, of course, but it was just a great moment for Essendon fans. For their second best moment of 2022, I've gone for their brilliant upset over St Kilda in round 14. This is where the Saints really wanted to start to get the ball rolling with picking up some wins, and the Dons were under a bit of fire themselves because they had a few poor performances, needed to get going, and it was a great game from them. I just remember Archie Perkins and Harrison Jones, their young player Sam Durham, produced strong performances that game, and they absolutely dismantled the Saints there. And for their best moment of 2022, it had to be their upset over the Sydney Swans back in round 16. I'm pretty sure it was. Of course, a poor performance they did show against Sydney earlier in the season. They needed to rebound. It looked like it was sort of going to happen again because the Swans started strong in this game, but everything they touched turned to goal. Everything, they kicked towards goal, went straight through the middle. They just kicked goal after goal. They were playing awesome, and it was a game where I'm pretty sure the defense probably played better than the forward line. They, the likes of 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼 and Massimo D'Ambrosio produced strong performances, and Stringer was up and about. It was a terrific game for the Dons there, and that was their best moment, or probably, best win of 2022. Moving on now to Fremantle, a fine season they did have. For their top 3 moments in third place, I've gone with Heath Chapman's goal line save back in round 1. This still does not get enough attention. It probably does make sense though, because it was back in round 1, so it wasn't really a season-defining game against the Crows. But yeah, thanks to Chapman, they did get that first win of the season, and it was just something, you look at it and you feel like, how was that possible? It almost defies the laws of physics, how he was able to just get his whole body, all that leverage, and just punch it over and not concede a behind. That was an awesome moment to watch live, and their third best moment. The second best moment, it was their win against the Geelong Cats in round 7. Of course, they had that awesome win at home against the Lions too, but this was the game where we thought, hey, Freo are the real deal now. They just dismantled them, especially at 𝐓𝐴 as well, so it was a bit of a home field advantage for the Cats, but it didn't matter at all, and this is probably around a 9-point, 10-point game, because I think it was Blicavs that did get that goal late, but that was a terrific win. And their best moment of 2022 had to be their comeback and win the game in the Elam final. I think it was over a 40-point turnaround. We thought, oh, this is it, game over, but just their young midfielders, Brayshaw and Sarong, really turned the corner, and we thought, hey, we have a bit of a game on our hands here, and they just slowly but surely, methodically came back, and it was just a terrific Elam final to watch, and it was a great win and a great feeling for Freo getting that finals win, and what was a pretty productive year for the Dockers. Moving on now to the Geelong Cats for their top 3 moments. In third place, I've gone with Joel Selwood's 350th game versus the Bulldogs in round 20. A game they did start off slow for Selwood's 350th game, but they turned things around just so well. And it was a great feeling and great moment to watch Joel Selwood really get around his family and wave to the fans after the game and just get around everyone. It was a great moment there. Their second best moment of 2022, their qualifying final win against the Pies, one of the games of the year, probably one of the best finals in quite recent memory. It was just a crazy game to watch, end-to-end contest, and how they managed to sneak on. It was, I think, Gary Rowan really turning the corner out of absolutely nowhere to have a terrific performance. A great game that was. And of course, their best moment in 2022 was their outstanding grand final performance and taking home the 2022 Premiership Cup. It was a game where you just look at those Cats players and feel like that is just a crazy game. It was a fairy tale performance. You don't feel like they're ever going to play like that ever again. Everything just clicked for him, and it was one of the best grand final performances in quite some time, and it was a great win for him. Now for the Gold Coast Suns, their top 3 moments of 2022. In third place, I've got them knocking off the undefeated Blues in round 4. This is when the Blues were up and about. They thought, okay, let's head over here to the Suns and continue that sort of trend. But we did have high expectations for the Suns heading into 2022, and they really put that on display in this game. They dismantled the Blues. And of course, you had 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻𝐿 and 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻𝐿 have terrific games. That was the game where 𝐵𝐵𝐿 pointed to the Suns jersey right in front of the Carlton faithful. He was up and about. That was a great win from there. Second best moment, I've gone with the upset against the Sydney Swans back in round 8. This was probably when the Swans were in a bit of a slump around that time of year, but they always seem to play great footy against Sydney. I don't know why that is with the Suns, especially at the SCG. They're playing really good footy there too. But yeah, that was a great win from there, and their best moment was easily Noah Anderson's goal after the siren in one of the best games of 2022. Just how he was able to slot that, the drama at the end, how the Tigers choked that. Oh, it was just all happening, but Anderson just coolly slotting that through. It was a terrific moment for the Suns fans and footy club. Moving on now to the Giants for their top 3 moments. In third place, I've gone with their huge win against the Crows in round 7 at Adelaide Oval. I've put this moment in because there's generally not really too many, but I just felt this was a huge win for the Giants. A big win, bit of a confidence booster under the belt. They won by 59 points, and you had the likes of Josh Kelly dominating that game. Toby Green kicked a bag. He was awesome, and it was just a good great win for the Giants there. Second best moment, I've gone with Toby Green's bag of 7 goals against the Bulldogs in that epic shootout game in round 14. Of course, they did lose the game by around 20 points, but he just came out to play, taking awesome marks left, right, and centre, and he really did start the show there. And for their best moment of 2022, again, Toby Green, his mark of the year contender against the Blues. It was a terrific mark. Personally, I felt like it was mark of the year, just how he's able to grab full extension of that, just go up, grab the ball, come down with just utter grace. And yeah, those are the Giants' best 3 moments of 2022. Moving on now to the Hawks, and for their top 3 moments of 2022, in third place, I've gone with their shootout upset against Brisbane in round 10. Goals galore in this match down in Tasmania. You always feel like the Hawks are a good chance, especially when it is in Launceston, but it was up against the Lions. You felt like this is probably going to be a bridge too far for them to knock off the Lions. This is when they were in really good form as well, the Brizzy Lions, and they just knocked them off in utter style. Of course, there's a few poor free kick decisions in that game, but you had the likes of John Newcombe who really came out to play in that game. Mitch Lewis is on the top of his form with 4 goals, Wingard with 3. That was probably one of their best wins of the season, but they probably did have the better wins in these other top 2 moments here. Second place, their huge shock win against Port Adelaide. This was back in round 2. We all thought, they were quite unlucky the week before against the Lions. Port, they'll easily run over the top here of the Hawks at home, you do feel, but it was just a absolute shell shocker how all the Hawks, especially youngsters with the likes of Connor McDonald and Mitch Lewis and Josh Ward, were just able to play terrific footy. Everything was clicking. That was just such a well-performed game from the Hawkers. And for number 1, of course, I had to go with their upset against Geelong. Their bitter rivals, I think that was back in round 5. This is when they're playing their best footy. A decent chance for finals early on, especially under the fresh coach of Sam Mitchell as well. Moving on now to the Melbourne Demons. In third place for their top moments of 2022, I've gone with their huge win over the Lions in round 23. It was just what you call a bit of a statement win, really, because the past few weeks they had a few poor losses, of course, against the Magpies. They got that close win against the Blues, but they needed this win here to solidify a top 4 position, and they did it in absolute style against the Brizzy Lions in round 23. Over at the Gabba too, they were just awesome straight from minute 1. Second best moment, I've gone with 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻𝐿 bag of 6 against Port in round 18. This was probably a game where you felt maybe Port were potentially the better side. The Demons weren't too hot around this mark of the season, but 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻𝐿 really saved their day almost. He was just awesome everywhere he was. The running into goals, the crumbing, he was just special. And for the best moment of 2022 for the D's, again, 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻𝐿, his win against Carlton. That was quite a bit of an obvious one, really, but oh wow, that was a terrific game. It was obviously a game where you thought, how did Carlton choke this? But 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻𝐿 just that crumbing goal was special. The snap, how it just went over the line. What a moment it was. Moving on now to North Melbourne, and for their top 3 moments of 2022. They might have won the wooden spoon, but they still had some really good moments here. For third place, they've gone with their resilient performance against the Magpies in round 17. You know, their first 3 quarters in this game was really good, and I thought they played some awesome footy. You had the likes of Luke Davies, who was just sensational. He was battering them himself. Him alone was just battering the whole Pies midfield and clearances. I think he had like 12 in that game. You had the likes of Tony Goldstein really getting up, 𝗏𝐿𝐼 with 5 goals too. I thought that was just a really good game from him, of course, by the 4th quarter. Second best moment for them, I've gone with Ben Cunningham's comeback game against Adelaide. He did have the return the week before against the Swans, I think it was, in the VFL, but he did come back into the senior side against the Crows late in the season. That was just a great moment, him running out with his kids, kissing his wife, and he was tearing up, and you just felt that was such a good feel-good moment of 2022, and for their best moment, North Melbourne, of this year. Obviously, their huge upset against the Tigers probably was a game where Richmond was beating Richmond with just missing everything that came in front of them, but just how North was able to execute tremendously well, especially in the first half of that game, and Nick 𝐼𝐿𝐼 and Cam 𝐬𝐻𝐪 kicking the winner. It was, a bit of a feel-good moment for every AFL fan, but had to be the best moment of 2022 for North. Now moving on to Port Adelaide, for their third best moment of 2022, I've gone for their win against the Suns in round 15. This was, in my eyes, such an underrated game. It was an absolute cracker to watch, and it was a game where it was just back and forth, all sorts throughout the day, and it was a game where Port Adelaide really needed to win to keep their finals hopes alive, and they got it done by 2 points. I think it was Todd Marshall kicking a bag of 4. You had the likes as well of Connor Rozee, had a terrific game with 2 and 24. Great game that was, great moment for him. Second best one was 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼 𝐻𝐪d's mark of the year. You felt wasn't the mark of the year. It still was a tremendous mark against Fremantle, but for me, their best moment of 2022 had to be Robbie Gray's last game. Probably their best player ever. How he was just a champion of a player for Port Adelaide his whole career. Over 250 games for the Power, and it was just a great moment to watch him in his last game. Kicked that goal as well, where he just brought the house down, and of course his celebrations after the game, waving to the crowd. It was probably Port Adelaide's best moment of 2022, I do feel. Moving now to the Tigers, and in third place, I've gone with 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼's goal of the year contender against the Bulldogs early in the season. It was that one where he was on the pocket, kicked it on his left boot. He was like sort of pushed towards the pocket, so it was always going to be a tight angle, but he sort of defied the laws of physics, squeezed it in on his non-preferred, and you thought, how was he able to slot that? Not only that, he was just awesome this year, 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼. Second place, I've gone with Cumberland's bag of 5 against the Lions. He had a few nice performances prior to this game. He was really good against the Suns. He was really good the week before as well against North, I think it was, but he was just a crafty player in this game. Everything that came his way just turned to goal. Really solid shot for goal too, that is safe to say, in his bag of 5 against the Lions. And sort of following along those lines, their best moment of this year was their comeback win against the Brisbane Lions, a game that they just really needed to win to show, hey, the Tigers are here to play finals footy. You thought the Lions were just going to cruise to victory in that second half, but they slowly but surely came their way back. The Tigers, it was probably in my top 10 games of the year. They came back by over 5 goals at halftime to win an absolute thriller at the MCG to cap off their best moment of 2022. Moving on now to St Kilda in third place for their best moment of 2022. I've gone for their win against Carlton in the middle of the year. The reason why I've gone for this particular win is just because I felt it was the most resilient performance out of any St Kilda game that I did watch of 2022. Just how they were able to really weather the storm of the Blues attack. They did. It was sort of the case of Carlton shooting Carlton because I had a lot of points missed. They still defended tremendously well in this game. They took the most of their chances, and they just really needed this win to rebound and bounce back and put themselves back into finals contention. I thought it was a special win from them. Their second best moment, I've gone with Max King's bag against Adelaide in round 10. I think it was 6 goals in this game, and it was just one of those performances where you just had to watch Max King do his best stuff. His contested marking was freakish in this game, slotting everything that came his way, and he pretty much almost single-handedly carried St Kilda to pick up this win against a very resilient Adelaide outfit in this game. And of course, their best moment of 2022 had to be their win against their bitter bitter rivals of Geelong in round 9 to show that, hey, the Saints are here to potentially make finals footy in 2022. It was a great game, great win. You could just tell the fans just elation and the players elation that thought we've finally done it. We've almost broken the hoodoo. I think the last time they did knock them off was back in, 2014. It was a long time waiting to finally knock off their bitter rivals of the Cats, and that's their best moment of this year. Moving on now to the Sydney Swans, and for their top 3 best moments, third place, I've gone with their defensive acts versus the Demons qualifying final, and also I've included in as well 𝐼𝐵𝐿𝐼𝐿 against the Pies in round 22. They sort of fall into the same category of defensive acts. You had 𝐼𝐵𝐿𝐼𝐿 against 𝘬𝐿𝐼𝐿𝐼𝐿 showing they really wanted this game more, the Swans, back in round 22. And sort of a similar path with the defensive act of Robbie Fox, blocking the kick of, I think it was Jack Melksham, and then Spargo going for that snap kick was smothered again, the second effort from Robbie Fox. Just 2 tremendous passages of play from the Sydney Swans to show they wanted that particular game more. The second best moment was their, of course, preliminary final win over the Magpies. It was a game where you feel Sydney should have, maybe lost that in the end. Potentially the Pies came back so utterly strong in that game. They were very unlucky in that, especially in that last quarter. The Maggies couldn't get over the line, but the Swans defended enough in those final stages, and it was a game I went to. Terrific game. Oh, it was just a crazy game to watch, but it was a terrific moment for the Swans, making the graddy, and of course their best moment of 2022 is undoubtedly Buddy's 1,000th goal. That just really brought the AFL community together. Of course, the pitch invasion was probably the best moment out of 2022 as a whole, but of course for Sydney's it was their best moment. Moving on to West Coast top 3 moments of 2022. In third place, I've gone with their upset win over the Dons back in round 15. Getting their second win of 2022 and finally getting a win at home, which is what the fans truly wanted. The Eagles faithful, of course, and they got it done by 10 points. It was a pretty inaccurate game for both clubs, especially Essendon. They were just missing some absolute sitters early on, but yeah, Eagles really did take their chances when it did matter. It was a game where I think Josh Kennedy kicked a bag of around 4 or 5 goals. He was special in that game, and they defended tremendously well in that last term when the Bombers did strike back with, I think, 2 goals in that final term, and they played a great game. The Eagles getting their second win of the season in that moment. Then for their second best moment of this season, I had to go with their unforgettable win over the Magpies back in early in this season. It was a game where they had all their star midfielders out, a lot of players out, but how they still had produced a really just inspiring performance, especially in the back line. They defended exceptionally well. I think McGovern was just having a day out, intercepting everything that came his way, and then just Waterman and Willie Rioli putting on shows to get the win there. That was just such a resilient display from them, probably their best performance out of any game in the year. And for their best moment of 2022, it had to be Josh Kennedy's 8 goals in his last game. You just watch that game, you feel like, am I dreaming? What am I witnessing here? Kennedy was just going insane, just turning into his prime version of himself in his very last game, and all the fans were cheering on, saying, could he play another year? But I feel like his body is probably done. But that was just a terrific moment to watch, no matter what fan you are, and was the Eagles' best moment of this season. And moving on to the Western Bulldogs for the last club of today's video. Their top 3 moments. In third place, I've gone for their season live win against the JDOD Giants in round 22. It was maybe a bit of an ugly game from both sides, but you had the likes of Bailey Smith and Bontempelli really rising up, and Tim English rising up in those games. Their star players, they needed them most when it mattered. They delivered, and it was a game where a lot of people forgot them because they needed that win, the Bulldogs, to keep their hopes alive for the finals, because they weren't looking like the ideal seed or side to really make finals. But with that win, that put him in the box seat, and that was a really good moment from them. The second best moment, again against the Giants, but it was their earlier match back in round 14. Just that shootout win with the likes of Cody Weightman really turning up to play. McRae was terrific as well. It was a great game as a whole, that game, and an entertaining one too. And of course, their best moment of 2022 was 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻𝐿 Hagen's knockout against the D's in round 19 to pick up a huge victory against, of course, the premiership fancies of the D's. It was another shootout game, won by 10 points. Both sides scored over 100 points, and 𝐻𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻𝐿 really came to play in that game, and it was probably a top 10 game of this year, and how was able to kick that, I think it was off a step from 55 out on the other side of the flank and just slot it through. This was a bit of a But, you know, here we are. This is the 𝐼𝐵 we're expecting. A bit of a breakout game. You could probably put it into other words. But yeah, that was easily the Bulldogs' best moment of 2022. So over on there is every AFL club's best moments of 2022. The video probably has carried on for a bit of a while now, but I just wanted to go for the top 3 moments of each club, just because, you know, we wanted to celebrate what was an awesome year and just go over each club and just go over their best moments of this year, because of course we all know each club's best moment, but I just wanted to scratch the surface a bit more with a few particular clubs and just recap it. And it was just a great year of AFL football and a great year as a whole on the channel, so I really do appreciate the support, everyone. I do have another 2022 special video coming out on the channel, so stay tuned there. But if you wanted to enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. That would be much appreciated, and until next time, I will talk to you later. See you later.